Annie.
Anakin. And he makes me sound like a little boy. Giving yourself to the Jedi means giving your whole life. Well, cut that.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is expected to break every record, and today we can personally tell you it will.
Today, The Phantom Menace rules the box office.
Never has there been so much hype surrounding the release of a big screen feature.
How'd you get the gig, Star Wars gig?
I auditioned for it.
Good answer.
Yeah.
But you beat out like 500 guys, including DiCaprio, right?
So they say, yeah.
It's 1999. George Lucas had created the first 3 Star Wars movies, and by that time, Star Wars wasn't just a movie series anymore. It had become like a religion, and one of the most popular film series ever created. Millions of fans across the world celebrated its release. It shattered every box office record, and thousands of people camped in line days before the new movie released.
We've been here for 6 days and it's great!
Nobody should sleep until Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, comes out.
George Lucas initially didn't plan to create more Star Wars films, but after a 16-year hiatus, he returned, wanting to tell the origin story of one of the most iconic villains ever created in cinematic history, the story of Darth Vader.
When I finished Star Wars, I figured that was it, once I finished Return of the Jedi. And I never really expected to go back and turn the backstory into a movie. As time went on and I realized that the icon of the evil Darth Vader, the idea that he is actually a tragic character kind of it's there, but it got lost, a little bit overwhelmed, I should say.
At the center of one of the biggest stories in film history stands the man who played him, actor Hayden Christensen, also known as Anakin Skywalker, who came to be the chosen one.
I auditioned for it, like a lot of other people. I went in and I met with the casting director first, and then I went to the Skywalker Ranch and I got to meet with George Lucas, which was thrilling. And then I got to go back to the Skywalker Ranch and I auditioned with Natalie Portman. Maybe a few days later, I got one of the best phone calls of my life saying that I got the part.
Hayden Christensen would star alongside Natalie Portman in what was shaping up to be one of the biggest films in the history of cinema. And as you can imagine, the pressure was real.
I was terrified. I was so nervous. I had butterflies in my stomach. I remember meeting Natalie for the first time. I was a little overwhelmed. I remember in one of the auditions, one of the takes that we were doing, I was very nervous and I lost my voice. I got like a frog in my throat or something. I couldn't talk.
I read somewhere that you threw up on the way to the ranch.
I wasn't going to talk about that, but if you want to bring it up, yeah, I was very nervous. It was a big deal for me.
21-year-old Canadian actor Hayden Christensen has taken over the pivotal role of Anakin Skywalker, the young man who eventually becomes Darth Vader.
This is the 1st of November, 1994. Today is my first day of writing the new Star Wars series. So by going back and telling Darth Vader's story, telling the whole story right from the very beginning, I was able to get the full range of all the things that were going on and how everything fit together.
The character of Darth Vader had become so popular after the first 3 films that it had become the icon of evil, completely overshadowing everything else about the character, much more than George Lucas had intended. But now, for the first time, audiences were about to go back to where it all started. The question George Lucas was about to ask ran against everything people expected. What if Darth Vader wasn't born evil?
I like the idea that the person you thought was the villain is really the victim, and that the story is really about the villain trying to regain his humanity. It becomes really the story of Darth Vader's redemption.
But to find out why the character of Darth Vader became so iconic, we need to know more about the man behind the mask, the boy who would become him.
This is where the fun begins.
You were straight out of high school, right?
Yeah, I was in high school like a year before doing school plays. I was born in Vancouver, Canada, and then my family moved to Toronto when I was like 5 years old, and I grew up in the suburbs of Toronto. I was like the young, shy Canadian kid.
Did you play Star Wars characters when you were a kid? Did you have the action figures?
Well, my brother did. My brother was a huge fan, and so we had all the little action figures, kicking around in our basement, and so I used to pick them up every now and then and have fun with them.
Hayden Christensen started dabbling into acting from a very early age. His first on-screen performance was, out of all things, a cough syrup commercial that marked the beginning of his acting career. I mean, in hindsight, they should have given some of that syrup to Darth Vader.
Lord Vader, maybe you should try one of these. They actually help you breathe more easily.
After doing some more cornflakes commercials, he decided to start playing more dramatic roles. It was in 2001, at 20 years old, that his performance in the drama film Life as a House put him on Hollywood's radar.
So this whole thing, this whole summer having me here was for your sake. You selfish.
This performance caught the attention of George Lucas, who immediately saw his potential to play the most tragic character in a sci-fi epic.
I wasn't a big sci-fi guy necessarily. I was like just a dedicated actor trying to sort of work on his craft. I studied acting on stage. I was really more inclined towards just dramatic stuff and dramatic films and dramatic storytelling.
But Hayden Christensen wasn't the only contestant for the role of Anakin Skywalker. As a matter of fact, some of the biggest names in Hollywood auditioned for it, including Paul Walker, Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, and Leonardo DiCaprio, who met with George Lucas but turned down the role as he didn't feel ready to take the career plunge. But even Hayden Christensen almost turned down the role.
It was a long casting process. I started when I was 18, actually. I remember the next phase of the audition process, they were inviting a bunch of people out to Los Angeles to meet with George Lucas, but they were asking everyone to pay for their own way out there, and I was still a struggling young artist, and I was like, I don't know if I can really justify the plane ticket, because there's no way I'm getting this role. I remember when they first brought it up, I was like, that sounds amazing, but is there like a smaller part or something that I could audition for? So I actually bowed out at that point. I got a phone call like a few weeks later saying they would pay for my ticket to come out to Skywalker Ranch, and I got to meet George out at the Skywalker Ranch. I was renting an apartment with a friend of mine, and he knew I was up for this role and I was going to be, finding out soon. And I remember walking into the living room just with this like big smile on my face, and he kind of put the dots together. But to confirm it for him, I lit up an imaginary lightsaber like
You are about to join a club that doesn't have very many members in it. That one day they're a person, and the next day they're on this big Megillah called Star Wars. Have you talked to anybody about it? Harrison Ford or Ewan, what's it like you can't go into a 7-Eleven anymore?
In 1999, The Phantom Menace was released, where we are introduced to a young Anakin Skywalker, first played by Jake Lloyd. But with the release of Attack of the Clones in 2002, we get to meet Hayden Christensen as the teenage Anakin, the role that would go on to define his career.
To be honest, I went in with no expectations. I really wasn't thinking that, ooh, I really want this part. It was just, wow, that's George Lucas. This is cool.
Attack of the Clones would lean heavily into Anakin's tragic descent, and that meant that Hayden's dramatic performances he worked on long before Star Wars were exactly what George Lucas was looking for.
I chose an actor who has that presence of the dark side to work with, as opposed to somebody who's very lighthearted and funny, and trying to get him to have an undercurrent of dark side all the time.
For the role of Anakin, we had a formal screen test.
102, take 1, Mark.
Annie.
Anakin. And he makes me sound like a little boy.
And in this particular case, I was looking for somebody who was very boyish and young, but had sort of a James Dean, sullen edge to him.
Don't try to grow up too fast.
I am grown up.
You look at those eyes, and there's just so much happening there. Hayden had all the elements of the character.
About a week after my test, not even, I was lying in bed and got the phone call that I got the part. I never would have expected to be here right now. This is Star Wars. It's really, really cool.
But Hayden didn't just play Anakin Skywalker. He helped to create the character piece by piece, from the way he looked to the way he moved. It started with the hair, because Anakin Skywalker almost looked like this. But George Lucas wasn't all too sure about it.
I think it's too much.
So instead, George Lucas approved this ponytail look, but Hayden didn't really feel too comfortable.
Yeah, I'm just afraid that he'll see it and go,
Everyone on set could tell that this was definitely not it, so they changed the hairstyle again to the style we know today.
Feels a little pretty. It's got to look rugged.
But Anakin's look was just the beginning. Hayden might not have been a die-hard sci-fi fan, but the second he held his lightsaber, it was like he was born to play the role.
It's funny, the first day I had to take my lightsaber out on set. I didn't even realize what I was doing, and the first take I did, I was like, wow. I was like, oh, no, you'll put that in later, won't you?
I don't want to be, showing him how things are, because everyone has to find out for themselves. He's brilliant. I love him to death. He's a great kid.
Hayden got so involved in the physicality of the role that he didn't even need a stunt double anymore.
Hayden's actually too good, and I'm not really doing very much at all.
I mean, he's fiercer than the double, and, he's made out of tough stuff.
I feel bad for the guy. This dude thought he was going to be in Star Wars, but ended doing absolutely nothing thanks to Hayden.
Hayden's a wonderful actor. I'm really, really impressed by him, especially because he's very confident.
Hayden's lightsaber skills weren't something he learned just on set. These skills were something he had been unintentionally practicing for ever since he was a kid.
I was heavily involved in athletics and wanted to be a hockey player, wanted to be a tennis player. It's Star Wars, you know? Why would you not want to be a part of every aspect that you could? I don't want anyone else on the screen trying to do my thing. I'll take a few bruises for the team. It's a stuntman in me.
Hayden went through 11 weeks of intensive preparation called the Jedi Training Camp, where he focused on building the physical stamina and mastering the precise, fast-paced lightsaber choreography for Anakin Skywalker. But what makes it so unique is that Hayden didn't just execute the choreography he was given. He invented his own moves. He had absorbed how Anakin would move in any given moment, and literally became him.
Stroke, instead of walking up to him at the normal pace that the character would, at this point when he becomes more powerful, it's one step, and he's already there, you know?
There were times where Hayden literally goes, I want this to be my idle stance. And I want my fast opening attack to be this. And what do you say to that besides, okay? Because he just knows exactly what we're going for and is able to apply his knowledge right to what we're doing.
Hayden has putting a lot of character into his moves, so his posture, the way he is arrogant about blocking people, and the way that he is, his shoulders are sort of slouched forward, like he doesn't care anymore. These are little subtle things that you might not pick up on if you're not looking for that kind of stuff.
Well, Hayden is actually a very talented actor. He's very good, very professional, works really hard.
As much as it is my character, it's all coming from George's head. He is the definitive of how it should be played, so you have to pay attention.
There's always this good in you at this point. The good part is saying, what am I doing? And the bad part is saying, I'm doing this for Padme, I'm doing this for us, and it'll be better for the universe, it'll be better for everybody. You know, but there's always this little part in you is saying, what am I doing?
Anakin Skywalker was only a boy as the hero of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, but now he's growing into young manhood in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and we can see early signs that he will eventually become the evil Darth Vader.
Anakin Skywalker is a representation of what can happen to a man when everything falls apart. We see how a hopeful young boy tragically descends towards the dark side, which is truly heartbreaking to see, and is arguably one of the best character arcs in cinematic history.
I wasn't strong enough to save you, Mom. But I promise, I won't fail again.
Transition into the dark side was a lot of fun for me because it was where I was wanting to go from the very get-go.
Anakin in this movie is a transitional character. He's going from the young Padawan learner to becoming aware of the fact there's more to him than that. And he's a much more complex character than the surface belies.
It's not really a mystery. Everyone knows that I'm going to the dark side. It's kind of like the Titanic sinking.
Anakin Skywalker was a young boy who was born into slavery. He never knew his father, and his mom raised him alone. But when he had to leave her behind, his entire world turned upside down.
I don't want things to change.
But you can't stop the change.
I will come back and free you, Mom. I promise.
He became the apprentice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but was denied the rank of Master by the Jedi Council, partly due to his lack of emotional control.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of Master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair.
On top of that, the ultimate burden for him was having to secretly marry Padme, because Jedi were forbidden to have romantic relationships.
He's always had a sense of longing for love in his life.
You're so beautiful.
It's only because I'm so in love.
No. No, it's because I'm so in love with you.
So love has blinded you?
You try to give flashes of darkness and flashes of just pure innocence just to try to bring everything together.
He was able to pull that off very well, and it was a hard thing to do.
Sounds an awful lot like a dictatorship to me.
Well, if it works.
After Anakin's mother tragically died in his arms, his behavior completely shifted, and he started solving problems through violence.
It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous. He's holding me back.
Please ask him to stop the fighting and let the diplomacy resume.
Don't ask me to do that.
His life has become more complicated, and this all culminates into an anger.
In Revenge of the Sith, fear and manipulation took over Anakin. He believed that every choice he made was to protect Padme. Instead, each one pulled him further into darkness and further away from everyone he loved.
I'm not the Jedi I should be. I want more. And I know I shouldn't.
He was consumed by conflicting emotions. His love for Padme, a lust for power, which was really magnified by his mother's death, and a fear, which is important. The fear that such an occurrence could happen again. As a very wise man once said, fear
is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
And that, more or less, is the nature of Anakin's descent to the dark side.
Be careful, Jedi Anakin. Only through me can you achieve a power greater than any Jedi. Learn to know the dark side of the Force, and you will be able to save your wife from certain death.
Palpatine spent years quietly turning Anakin against the Jedi, taking advantage of his confusion, pain, and fear, until Anakin no longer knew who to trust. Because of his desperation to protect the people he loved, Anakin became easy to manipulate, and Palpatine convinced him to turn against the Jedi Order itself. That decision caused Anakin to lose his wife, his friends, and even his own identity as he became Darth Vader.
They don't trust you, Anakin. They see your future. They know your power will be too strong to control.
The climax is episode 3, where he actually does turn into Darth Vader. He actually becomes the evil he has been trying to fight. And it's a fun story to tell, because it is the story of how a good person turns bad.
It originally starts out as just this beige suit, which isn't very intimidating at all. I wasn't aware what I was going to feel. And they could have just put some really tall guy and got away with it, but I begged and pleaded, and they were nice enough to build a Darth Vader suit that actually fit me.
I think that must be incredibly exciting for Hayden, being Darth Vader.
Getting into Darth Vader, that's the cool part.
One more fitting with Hayden and then filming on him. And it'll be just a memory. Everyone on the crew, everyone on my crew wanted to be involved in this. The day we were on set with him and then he came into shot and you saw him shining as he went up, you just thought, that is an amazing thing.
Takes us back to the old days. How did it feel to wear the Darth Vader costume for the first time?
It was exhilarating. And being given the task of playing the connective tissue into Darth Vader to get to actually put on the costume meant a lot of finality and closure, and that was a very emotional experience for me. So though it was very empowering and all that good stuff, there was a certain hint of sadness as well.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
When you're a kid, he's the pinnacle of all evil. There is that mystery there, He is a man behind a mask, and up until now we didn't know who that man was. So it allows, the audience to really instill their own imagination into that character and make that evil.
I hate you! You were my brother, Anakin! I loved you!
Everybody thought of Darth Vader as this big evil guy that, had no heart. He was just evil. But in the end, it's not that at all. And here's a guy who has lost everything.
Star Wars turned Hayden Christensen into a global superstar. Within a matter of months, at just 21 years old, he had become the face of one of the biggest productions in cinema history. The Star Wars prequels broke every box office record, and Hayden went from appearing in cereal commercials as a kid to now seeing his own face on cereal boxes around the world.
So how does it feel to have your face on cereal boxes and have your own action figure and things of that sort?
Very bizarre. Just weird.
What question have you grown the most tired of answering?
I have to say one that I get a lot is how am I going to deal with the possible typecasting that I might encounter in the future from being in a film like this and from playing such an iconic role. And quite frankly, I've had enough of it.
Many believed that Hayden would become Hollywood's next big star, but after finishing Star Wars, it was hard for people to see him as anything else other than Anakin Skywalker. Critics called his performance flat and unconvincing, and for a while he was scrutinized for it by the press.
We hear sometimes about people who become overnight successes, and it's very difficult. And the friends somehow disappear. Was it wonderful, 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 or difficult, difficult, difficult?
There is not one line in this movie that you could quote with any pleasure. It is the most banal script I've ever read.
Anakin Skywalker is portrayed by Hayden Christensen, who is certainly a capable and attractive hero, but is positively dreadful when required to showcase emotion or love.
Similarly, many directors dismissed Natalie Portman as a bad actress and stopped offering her roles after Star Wars. But just a few years later, she silenced all those doubts by winning the Academy Award for Black Swan. Ewan McGregor proved himself and won an Emmy for Halston. Samuel L. Jackson became Nick Fury in the MCU, and Liam Neeson reinvented himself as an action star with Taken. And so Hayden Christensen was set out to prove himself once more.
Hayden Christensen is out to prove that he is much more than a lightsaber-wielding sci-fi star. The 22-year-old Canadian, he's flexing his acting muscles, shattering some stereotypes in Shattered Glass.
Now, how important is it for you as an actor to kind of mix up your roles?
Very. It sort of keeps you, I don't know, excited about the work, is being able to do different things and, you know, play different parts. And so that, for me, is sort of vital to getting involved in the project. I think after I finished Star Wars, there was still a desire for me to sort of go back to kind of smaller, more independent filmmaking and just try to cut my teeth as an actor, because I was still learning a lot. So I went and did some smaller films, and I just sort of tried to not so much think about navigating a career as much as I was just trying to do work that appealed to me and play characters that I thought would challenge me and help me grow as an actor, and that was a great freedom.
But even though Hayden delivered various great dramatic performances, his career didn't really take off after Star Wars. He decided to step away from the spotlights for a quieter life and left Hollywood for several years.
You're such a private person. We don't hear a lot about you in your public life. How are you managing to deal with that?
I spent a lot of time up in Canada still, and my family has a farm north of the city, and I spent a lot of my time there, but...
So you don't pursue the limelight?
Not particularly. You know, I've got other interests.
Hayden was hated by the press. He left Hollywood for several years, and many critics called his performance flat and unconvincing. However, Hayden stayed quiet during the backlash. On December 2020, after 17 years, it was announced that Hayden Christensen would return as Darth Vader, and after more than a decade, reuniting him with Ewan McGregor in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Our fans will be thrilled that Hayden Christensen will be returning in the role of Darth Vader. This will be the rematch of the century.
He's alive, Obi-Wan. Anakin Skywalker is alive.
Coming back to Obi-Wan, that was a really great experience for me. I kind of thought that my Star Wars days were behind me, and then I got a phone call sort of inviting me to come back. My first day on set was a really special day. I was Anakin from Episode 3 era. When I got to set, I was told that Ewan had already finished for the day and that they were trying to send him home, but he was insisting on staying to be there for my first shot back. I was looking for him, I was like, where is he? And they pointed off way in the distance, 200-300 feet away. I can't really see him, and so I shouted to him. I was like, Obi-Wan! I saw a hand go up. It was a very emotional thing. Well, not just reuniting as these characters, but also as friends. It was like going back in time. It was so cool.
For many years, Hayden didn't go to any Star Wars conventions, but in 2023, he decided to pay a visit and got overwhelmed by all the love from the fans.
Our next guest finally made his way back to Star Wars after a nearly 20-year hiatus. And boy howdy, were we glad to see him return. He may be burnt to a crisp underneath his costume, but to us, he'll always be the sand-hating, moody teen from Tatooine. Give it up for Hayden Christensen!
Man, you guys sure know how to make a guy feel good. You're making me emotional. You know, see all the love that you have for this franchise, and to see all the incredible costumes, and it's a very unique thing that we all get to be a part of, and I'm very grateful for that. It's been a journey with this character and this franchise, and you know, life is funny. The affection that people have for those films now, and I just sort of saw all these faces of all these people showing their support. It was very touching, and I was emotionally moved by it, and it was a special moment.
Star Wars wouldn't be the same without Hayden Christensen. He stands at the center of one of the biggest stories ever made in modern times. So you could say he was indeed the chosen one. He went from the most hated to the most loved character of all time. Back then, no one knew how much effort and dedication he put into his role. Even though the media destroyed him at the time, he finally got his shine, and it's a real pleasure to see that justice is served, which only goes to show that the Force was indeed with him.
Obi-Wan, may the Force be with you.
Goodbye, old friend. May the Force be with you.